All right, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. This is a reaction video where I will be showing you guys my playlist and the videos that have made the biggest impact on me so that I could share with you to help change the world, to make it a better place because we fucking up everything. Anyways, people of the future, this will be my first reaction video. Let me stop this and hit play here. Boom.
Do you ever feel like you're just floating through life, but not actually getting closer to the person that you want to be?
I used to feel that way.
On New Year's, you imagine all the bad habits you're going to break free from, and all the good habits you will begin. This time will be different, you say to yourself. This time I am going to do the things that I say I will, only to end up back where you began shortly after, and no closer to what you had envisaged. So the question is, how do you break free from bad habits and make the habits you desire easier and automatic? Atomic Habits by James Clear answers all these questions.
I had that feeling where I was like zombifying through life, literally like day after day after day. It's like, where is the time going? And not feeling like I'm in control of my life. When you are consistently disciplined over time, that is the absolute form of true free will. Because if you think about it, this is the conscious you making the decisions that you told yourself to do the other day. Some might even say that, oh, don't you feel robotic? I got asked that question because I was boasting systems and routines. And somebody told me that they asked me if I felt robotic following these routines. And it's the exact opposite. I feel robotic when I am not disciplined, and I don't feel in control when I am doing things based off of emotions, right? When I'm doing things based off of how I feel, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym because blah, 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 blah. What conscious control do I have over that? That's all habitual. Back to the video.
We're going to be doing a fast-paced, detailed summary of the book and dive deep into topics like habit loops, dopamine spikes, priming your environment, plus heaps more. Imagine a plane taking off and traveling from New York to Los Angeles. Just before takeoff, you adjust the plane just slightly by 3 degrees or around 80 inches. If you were to keep flying in a straight line, you would end up closer to Tijuana in Mexico than in your intended destination, Los Angeles. And the same goes for our habits. Tiny changes in our habits can change the trajectory of our lives in ways that we can't even notice until many years into the future looking back. In both good ways and bad, you are your habits. The power of atomic habits. A slight change in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. Massive action versus 1% improvements. Far too often we convince ourselves that massive success is only possible through massive action in any goal we are pursuing. We expect ourselves to make some quantum leap or momentous improvement that will gain others' attention. However, it is the tiny improvements that aren't even noticeable at first that create incredible change. Let's look deeper into the math. 1% better every day for a year will compound to 37 times better, but 1% worse every day over a year will bring you close to zero. Your habits can compound against you in the form of things like stress or negative self-talk, or they can compound for you in the form of things like knowledge, productivity, skills, and relationships. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. The truth about progress. When you start any endeavor in your life, here is what you think should happen: linear progress. But here is what actually happens. Notice this section here in the beginning. Small changes in our progress are not even noticeable. James Clear refers to this part of the graph as the valley of disappointment. You've done so much, you've put in so much effort, and you can barely see any results. This is where most people fail and slip back into their old routines.
Because you're giving up way too soon. A lot of people, they hate the process or the learning curve, which is exactly what he's talking about, and they give up. And you want to know why that happens? Because half the time, a lot of these people who have these New Year's resolutions, right? They bite off way more than they can chew. Guys like Faraz Zahabi, this is George St. Pierre's coach. He talks about doing things at 70%, right? Or doing things at 80%. Because if you're going 100%, if you're going all in, like, oh, New Year's, new me, I'm going to go on a diet, chicken and broccoli only, and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to blast every muscle and give it my 100% all. How are you going to sustain that? That is not you. You can't even identify as that person because you weren't even doing those things prior to, the new year. if you do things, you know, in a more flow state manner, things that are like in between easy and in between difficult, there's like a sweet spot that allows you to keep doing things. And there's all these ways that you can hack your mind in order to get past that valley of disappointment.
The most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed, so patience is required. Goals versus systems. Forget about goals, focus on systems instead.
Fuck yeah.
The goal is the result you want to accomplish. Systems deal with processes that lead to the results. The conventional wisdom suggests that the best way to achieve anything we want in life, be it getting into better shape, building a successful business, or spending more time with family, is to set specific, realistic goals. But if you completely ignored your goals and focused only on your systems, would you still succeed? The author of this book argues that you would. Here are some problems with only having goals. Successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, so therefore the goal cannot be what differentiates winners from losers. Achieving a goal only changes your life for that moment in time. Goals can create an either-or conflict. Either you achieve the goal and succeed, or you don't and you're a failure, even if you are making progress in the right direction. When you achieve a goal, what do you do after? If your goal was running the local marathon, chances are after completing it, your motivation will quickly fade and you will just slip back into your old routines. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. A system of atomic habits.
Rich people and poor people, they both have the same goals. We all want to be rich. You know what I mean? There's no difference between Elon Musk and me. Elon Musk doesn't want money any more than I do. I could argue that all I do is think about success. Like that Adidas acronym, all day I dream about sex. Success. That too. That's what it was supposed to be in elementary school. That was like the whole thing that came out so accidentally. Anyways. I'm like trying to be so cool on this thing, and then that came out. All day I dream about success, not sex. That too, but that's kind of funny. The point is, okay. All right. The point is, I want to be rich too. Who doesn't want to be rich? Hey, let's be mature. Let's be adults. Let me take a break for a sec. Oh, we'll cut that out. Now that's a Freudian slip. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's late. Try to make this video. Oh man. That's some funny shit. Crack myself up. Goals, what he's trying to say, we all have the same goals. We all want to be the best versions of ourselves. I don't think anybody's goal is to be the worst version of themselves. The only thing that separates winners from losers is what he's saying is that these winners, these people who are successful, what separates winners from losers, they focus on behaviors. They focus on systems, not goals. They focus on literally like to-do checklists. You know, this is what like the hospitals introduce when they say scalpel, check, spoon, you know, check. Or the guys that are conductors, you know, when they look at the platform and they platform clear, all aboard. Like these are systems that they follow to ensure that there's no casualties. You know, I could go on about that forever, but these are things that like I hold dearly every single day, and it's in this mentality shift, like understanding that we're robots, man, and we can reprogram our mind. We do things based on habit, and we can change ourselves simply by like understanding this information. Back to the video.
Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. A system of atomic habits. The problem with changing your habits is not you.
And we'll get back to
the reason why
systems
you
too.
repeat the same bad habits for so long isn't because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. Atomic habits are small routines and behaviors that accumulate to produce incremental positive outcomes over time. Big breakthroughs tend to get more attention than small improvements, but what really matters are the little daily decisions and actions we take. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. There are 3 layers to behavior change. The first layer is changing outcomes, the result. Losing that weight, writing that book, or winning the season. The outcomes are what you get. The second layer is changing your process, what you do, the new workout routine, or developing a daily reading habit. And the third layer is changing your identity, what you believe, your worldviews, and how you think about yourself and others. Most people focus on the outcomes, but the best way to change your habits is by focusing on the person you want to become instead of the results that you want. The goal isn't to learn an instrument, it's to become a musician. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. When something you want in your life becomes part of your identity, that is when your behaviors will start to naturally change. When you tell yourself and others, I'm a runner, you want to live up to that identity. Remind yourself, every time you do a workout, you are an athlete. Every time you write a line of code, you are a programmer. And each time you instruct your team, you are a leader. The habit loop. A habit is when something becomes repeated enough times.
Just behave in that way. Reminding yourself this kind of shit, all this affirmations, I can sit in the car and fucking say, I'm a beast. I could, like, I've done it before. I've driven to work and I've sit there, I've done all of my gratitude, all this stuff, right? But I'll do my affirmations and I'll sit there and I'll be like, I fear no humiliation. I do this, I do that. I'm beautiful. I look in the mirror and DJ Khaled myself. I love you. I love you. I say all those kinds of things. And sure, I mean, it can help change your belief, but you really have, that has to be deep-seated belief to begin with. You can't just like speak that into belief. Even though, you know, I do, like there are biblical verses and like cool quotes and stuff like that that says the tongue is it like can cast spells on you when you make these I can't statements, I'm not good enough statements. Sure, that can reinforce your belief. What I'm trying to say is if you just focus on the actions and if you just focus on the behavior, the identity will come. You don't have to remind yourself that you're a boxer if you're boxing every day. Like the law of attraction and manifestation, these are all like hype words lately on social media and stuff like that. If you can think, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. Actions speak louder than words. You're not going to just get a Jeep by thinking about it, man. You're not going to get that car, that dream car, that house by thinking about it. Like I was saying, poor people and rich people think about the same shit. You know, we think about the same shit all day, every day. But the only difference that separates poor people and rich people, and I use these as examples because they're so polarizing, is the action and behavior.
Times that it becomes automatic. Ultimately, we want our habits to solve problems in our lives with the least amount of effort. Habit is formed and reinforced by means of a continuous feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. The key to creating habits that stick is to create feedback loops that are continuously being improved. Cue, phone buzz. Craving, want to know who messaged. Response, pick up the phone. Reward, solve the problem of who messaged. Cue, mind goes blank at work. Craving, want to alleviate the frustration. Response, check social media. Reward, satisfy the need to feel less frustrated. Over time, rewards become associated with cues. So in this example, checking social media becomes tied to your mind going blank at work. And then checking Facebook may be the cue to check Instagram, which becomes the cue to watch YouTube. And before you know it, your mind going blank cue has led to 20 minutes of wasted time. And the more you repeat these habit loops,
the cue could literally be you having the phone in your pocket all day, or the phone being visible, or your phone even being on. Like, if you left your phone at home, which trust me, it doesn't feel good to leave your phone at home. You almost feel like it's an extension of you. You feel like part of you is gone. But imagine that. If you left your phone at home, all of this shit would disappear. All these problems would go away.
the stronger and more automatic they become. Cues can really be anything. A smell, a sound, a sight, a person, a location.
A thought.
Try to think of any cues in your daily life that are initiating your good or bad habit loops. So how can we influence the habit loop to work for us? This book shows us the 4 laws that will guide us to do just that.
These 4 laws are everything. Pay attention.
Law 1. Make it obvious. Most of your current habits are so automatic that you don't even realize them. You must first become aware of your habits before you can change them. You can achieve that with your habit scorecard. Write down all your daily behaviors on a habit scorecard, from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. Your scorecard may look something like this. Based on whether it helps you become the person you aspire to be, categorize each habit as positive, negative, or neutral. At this stage, we aren't trying to change anything, but just observe what is actually going on in our daily lives. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Vagueness is a real problem when it comes to habit formation, and studies have shown that quite often the reason people fail to stick to a habit is not because of a lack of motivation, but because of a lack of clarity. One day I will get into shape is easy to say to yourself, but too vague to get any momentum. What you need is a time and a place. The most common cues, time and location, will help you achieve your goals. Clearly state your intention to act using the following formula. I will behavior at time in this location. Here is a bad example. I will read more this month. Here is a good example. I will read a book for 15 minutes daily at 6 a.m. in the spare bedroom. Another good way to get a habit started is by habit stacking.
So before we move on, I just wanted to add that when he's talking about like make a journal of or a list of things in your day, what I like to do, because I mean, like, what's the point of paying attention to the good habits? Those are things that are you know, that you're already doing, that you're proud of. Like, we know what things are kind of like hurting our soul. We know which bad habits that we have, and I think those are the most important ones. So writing down those bad habits is something that I have an actual, like, a list. I use this app called To Do by Microsoft. You could use whatever you want, but I like this one because it's in like a cool format, and I'll show it to you. I'll actually show it to you right now. Let's take a look. I don't know if I have this on here. I'm pretty sure fucking... So habits, good and bad. I would honestly get rid of the good. There's probably 5 on there. Being late, understanding time, join a community that supports your goals. These are all things that he talks about. Some of the bad habits, I'm afraid to kind of go in there. I might skip it or remove some shit. So look at this. Some of my bad habits is no plan the next day, right? Now, a lot of this has kind of gotten removed as I've created routines. Meaning routines is like you work 5 days a week, 9 to 5. I mean, that's a routine. You don't even need a schedule to understand your schedule if you're working the same days. I like to stick to consistency. But when your schedule is like, you know, if you work retail and they have you working Tuesday 11 to 6, Wednesday 1 to 9, it's going to be a lot harder for you to remember. I work same day, same time, every day, right? So on my days off, if I don't have a plan the next day, I find myself like either like reacting emotionally based on how I feel and not sticking to the plan. You know, bedtime. Bedtime is bedtime. So this is a bad habit. What can I do to get rid of this habit? Like on my alarm or in my routine schedule, if you look at my calendar, I should be in bed right now. But I'm gonna use an excuse. This video is what I would rather prioritize than getting sleep. But this would be an example. Is like, okay, what is the cue? What is the craving? What is the response? And what is the reward that is keeping me from going to bed? Normally, it's like TikTok videos and shit. So, like, I could say a whole bunch of shit is triggering responses to keep me to stay up, like the TV that's in my living room, which is only like 2 steps away from my bed, maybe hunger, and then my kitchen being right there. You know, like I have this whole setup right here, right in my living room with the lighting and the cameras and my laptop and all this stuff, which can trigger good habits because now that it's visible, I, you know, want to do these videos. I want to film more content and edit because it's right there. I come home, boom. This is visible, as opposed to, like, say, my PlayStation, which used to be right in my room. Now I don't even want to go to my room because I'd rather do this, right? So good and bad habits. Not using my calendar. So my calendar should be in my systems, and I'll show you that on my screen. Another thing is, like, not sticking to the plan, time management, those kinds of things, and preaching to people who don't appreciate it. So trying to explain to flies why honey is better than shit. I do it all the time. That's more of a personality thing. But hey, these are goals that I want to get rid of, and these are habits that I have to, if I want to change my reputation, if I want to change my identity and become this person who I want to become consciously and make that decision, then I got to be aware of these and hack my mind, right? But here's an example of some of the systems. So for instance, I have a morning routine. This sounds kind of mundane and like very robotic, but how can I possibly mess up? Like, my house is in order. Like, to be honest, it's not too chaotic, but everything's kind of organized because I know, I come home, or when I wake up, I make my bed, I check the weather, I brush my teeth, I take care of my skin, I put on my outfit, I eat my breakfast and have my supplements. This is like an old routine because I've delegated all food for takeout. I just eat takeout because I'll work an extra day. That's a whole other video. I appreciate time more, but and then like I'll clean up, pack my phone. But the nighttime routine is another example. Hang up my coat and keys, empty my bag and put away my lunch, clean. And then what does cleaning mean? I have a cleaning system: bed, kitchen, clothes, laundry, power of now. I use the power of now, being in the present moment, to pick up things that I see and focus on that thing only until it's done. I could go on and on. Like, I have an idle checklist. Like, I have these systems. These are all like what you would call in the corporate world standard operational procedures, SOPs, right? And if you create SOPs in your life, especially in the gym, you're not going to see the progress that you want to see if you're doing different things in the gym every single day. Sure, like, you will make progress, but if you think about it, right? How are you gonna compare your results from day one to from day A to day Z, right? If you are doing flat bench on one day, incline bench on the other, dumbbell bench on the other, and you're starting off with those, as opposed to starting off with bench every single day, every day. And it's that discipline, it's that 1% that equals that 38 times better. And then you have real comparative measurable results because you are sticking to a system. And these systems is what help us get successful. So back to the video.
Stack habits tie a desired habit to an existing habit according to the following formula. After current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch. For example, I will read more this month. Here is a good example. I will read.
What he's basically saying, I will at this time, at this location. For those of you who feel like this is new information for you, I always like big up academic students because they kind of prepared themselves to be like these people. Like academic students, people who were in academic classes when I was in high school, they used their journal. They were on time. They cared, right? For us guys that didn't really care for school and were distracted and more focused on things, guys and girls that were more personal to our personal interests, these are the things that we may have ignored and now have had a hard time developing these skills. But, I say this all the time. It's really obvious. How can you expect to get better at something if you are not allocating time or deadlines for those things, right? So he's saying, I will do this at this time in this location, right? So for instance, how come you will go to work from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, right? Building somebody else's business, being a mason for someone else, right? Being a slave to the dollar, whatever it is. If you got to feed the table, I get it. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Versus, I will make this video now at home. When I get home, I'm going to make this video and before I go to bed. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of a calendar. We can get into that. I know like half the world probably uses a calendar. For you guys who don't use a calendar, if you guys are organized like that, I mean, I don't know. I don't think you can be like reach top level shit without that kind of organization. It's either you have that or you hire somebody who has that, who is going to provide you that kind of shit.
Read a book for 15 minutes daily at 6 a.m. in the spare bedroom. Another good way to get a habit started is by habit stacking. To stack...
This is simple. I do this all, like right now in my bathroom. If you look, I have my toothbrush, right? I have my floss out right next to my toothbrush. Like, I have to floss. I can't not floss now, because if I don't floss, I just feel like I just can't, right? But right next to my floss is my skincare routine. My skin has been shit like for my whole life. I am fucking 30 years old and I have acne. I don't know why. I should go to a doctor's for this shit. But the queues are just so long. Point is, like, my skin breaks out very often. So I have that next to my toothbrush so that this is habit stacking. If I do this, it's all there. You get what I mean?
Like habits, tie a desired habit to an existing habit according to the following formula. After current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes. You can stack habits together. For example, after you finish brushing your teeth, you will meditate for 10 minutes and then plan the rest of your day before checking social media. The chain of habits is more likely to be sustained if you practice this consistently. Choosing the correct trigger is essential. You need a trigger cue. Your trigger should be something that you do automatically without fail during your day, such as waking up, turning off your alarm, or brushing your teeth. James Clear didn't need a trigger cue. Your trigger should be something that you do automatically without fail during your day, such as waking up, turning off your alarm, or brushing your teeth. James Clear tells us in the book that motivation is highly overrated. You can better shape your behavior by designing your environment. We are more influenced by our environment than our willpower or motivation. It's hard to stick with positive habits in a negative environment. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Creating a habit requires you to redesign the space around you. To 1, make it easier to see the cues for the desired habits, and 2, avert bad habits by making them invisible. If you want to drink more water, make the cues visible and obvious. Place water bottles around the house in places you are likely to see them. Want to read more? Place the book somewhere where you'll see it. And if you want to get better on guitar, don't leave it out of sight in the closet.
Guys, this is like everything. This is everything. The reason why I go to the gym every day at 1 to 3 is because Good Life is right there. I poke my head out of work. I don't even need to leave the shop to see it. It's right there. It's visible. Like I was saying earlier, all my fucking recording equipment and everything is right here. This is why it can be toxic for you to have your video games in your bedroom right next to your bed. Bro, I wanted to cut out video games because I'd rather level up in real life. Like, why am I gonna... Bro, if you are a grown-ass man, and yo, I'm gonna say this right now, unless you're making money off this shit, but if you're a grown-ass man and you got a level 100 Pikachu and you're fucking proud of your level 100 Pikachu, you gotta reevaluate some shit in your life. Because you're proud of some fucking little pocket monster. Cool, he's cute and all, and he's all powerful and shit like that. But how you gonna have a fucking character, you know, who's got all this armor and all this fucking money in your game? You got this big ass house, driving this sick ass whip in this fucking game, putting in years in this game when you are not putting in the time in your life, bro. You could be rocking nicer shit. You could be rocking those the clothes that you want. You could be living in the house that you want. If you're grinding real life, but you're escaping in this video game, right? So I was doing that. I was playing this game, getting good at this fucking game, like sniping people and being like, damn, like I'm sick at this shit. But like, that's not a flex, man. Like, the real flex would be if I picked up paintball and or got a gun and you know, like learned how to shoot in real life, learned how to do like Olympic style shooting when they, you know, shoot those frisbees in the air and stuff. That's a flex. That's like, imagine how much more of a flex that would be. So what did I do to stop playing video games? I packed that shit up. I fucking packed it up and put it in my closet. It's collecting dust now. It's unfortunate to say, but hey, man, this is law. This stuff, what he's saying, is law.
Context is the cue. Objects in the environment do not determine our behavior. Rather, it is our relationship to them that does. Stop seeing your environment as a place simply filled with objects. Imagine it as a place filled with relationships. The couch in the living room is the place where one person reads an hour a night. For another, the couch is where they watch Netflix and eat pizza and relax after work. If your relationship with the couch is a place to relax, then trying to get a work-related task done in that environment may be difficult. Try to make separate zones in your house for different activities. The author likes to use the mantra, one space, one use. If you're trying to eliminate a bad habit, you can only rely on self-control in the...
Jack Canfield in the book The Success Principles even said this about the cell phone, right? He was saying how like our phones, even though they're like this this amazing contraption that has 100,000 things into one. You got this calendar, this alarm, you got this camera, you have this, like a telephone, you have a typewriter, a keyboard, a computer, right? But the problem with this, when you have all these things crammed into one thing, that's why it becomes so addicting. That's why we have such bad habits with our phone, because we constantly rely on all those things from one device, as opposed to, imagine if you just had a phone just to do a phone, like what a phone does, call, maybe even text, right? And you had a dedicated alarm clock, a dedicated camera. When you are using those things, you would have a much more useful relationship with those items, kind of what he's saying, that's how extreme it can be. Like, I could honestly argue that if I didn't want to watch TV, or for instance, if I don't want to eat junk food, which I don't, I rarely eat junk food when I'm at home, is because I don't buy it. I don't buy chips. I don't buy candy. Half the shit that I have in my thing, like the candy or the alcohol or the weed or whatever it is, honestly, it comes to me. I don't even freaking want it. It just falls in my lap. People, like, clients think I want weed. Unless, like, I have a little shorty over and I want to smoke a little joint, then I'm glad that I have that, right? Or, I like to have a little bit of alcohol, but I rarely go out of my way to buy it. Like, these are gifts. I get this for Christmas and it stays in my shit all year long. And I don't buy junk food.
The short term. Cutting off bad habits at the source is a more reliable solution, and one of the most practical ways to eliminate a bad habit is to make it invisible. Eliminate it from your environment. For example, put your phone in another room for a few hours if you have trouble getting work done.
Oh, yeah.
Or put junk food out of sight or remove it from your house if you're trying to lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
Law 2. Make it attractive. When we expect to be rewarded, we take action. The more rewarding an action is, the more likely we are to repeat it until it becomes a habit. Hence, the first step to forming good habits.
So we have law 1, which is make it obvious, and law 2 is make it attractive. So making it obvious, is it visible or is it not visible?
Is to make them more attractive. Understanding how dopamine affects your body will help you. Dopamine. Our motivation levels are affected by dopamine, a hormone and neurotransmitter. We are more motivated to act when our dopamine levels rise. By measuring dopamine, scientists can pinpoint the exact moment at which craving occurs. It was once assumed that dopamine was just about pleasure, but now we know it's vital to many neurological functions, including motivation, memory, learning, punishment, as well as voluntary movement. The hormone dopamine is released not only when we experience pleasure, but also when we anticipate it. Gambling addicts have a dopamine spike right before they place a bet, not after they win. Let's dive deeper into dopamine spikes. Using social media, eating junk food, and taking drugs are all associated with high levels of dopamine and are highly habit-forming. Think about before going on a vacation. Sometimes the thinking and anticipation of the vacation is better than the actual vacation. Seeing the junk food you desire surges dopamine, not after eating it. Drug addicts increase dopamine when they see the drugs, not after taking them. The craving is what causes us to take action in the first place. Making our habits attractive is vital because it is the expectation of a rewarding experience that drives us to act. Here you can use a strategy known as temptation bundling. The temptation bundling process makes a habit more attractive by combining an action we need to do with one that we want to do. For example, you could bundle watching Netflix, something you want to do, with working out, something you need to do. Temptation bundling applies
or podcasts in the gym.
Psychology principle known as Premack's principle. Developed by Professor David Premack, the Premack principle states, more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. In other words, even if you're not looking forward to doing some exercise, you become conditioned to do it because you get to do something else you really enjoy. Group influence. We are continually wondering, what will others think of me?
What do you guys do at the same time? Like, what's a way that you combine, like, a not so attractive task with an attractive task?
And altering our behavior based on the answer. We are influenced by the people closest to us and the groups that we belong to. If you're trying to build a good habit, one of the best ways to reinforce the habit is to find and become part of a culture where that habit is the norm. If you want to get into better shape, surround yourself with fit people. If you want to read more, join a book club. Primal motivators.
Yo, that's big. And honestly, like, these are what masterminds are. This is what accountability partners are. Put it this way. Like I was saying earlier, if you're not allocating time towards the thing that you want to become successful in, then most likely you're not going to get the outcome that you're looking for. I joined a boxing gym, and I chose one of the better boxing gyms so that I would be surrounded around good boxers. Now I have a network of boxers that are sick that hold me accountable. I have training partners, and I get the best of the best. And I have accountability partners that will message me the day before boxing and be like, hey, are you coming at this time? And if I don't come at that time, in a way, I've let that person down, right? And I ain't trying to be no bitch. Are you trying to be a bitch? No. So get accountability partners. Are you trying to be a bitch? Well, now, fear no more. Same things with the gym. You know, I used to go to the gym to lift with like my boy Austin, and we would go all the time. He would go all the time. And now he's going back to the gym because his closest friends are going to the gym. See how like you are a product of your environment? And, you know, like the same thing applies for all the negative shit, man. There are people, there's a saying that I love. It's a bit superficial, but fuck it. You know, it goes, even butterflies know not to associate with caterpillars, right? Guys, if your friends are doing nothing but like chilling in the car, smoking weed, vibing out, sure, there's a time and place for that. But man, if I'm going to be chilling, if I'm going to be relaxing, if I'm going to be partying, I'm going to be doing that and doing that hard. I'm not just going to be doing that on a, fuck man, this is the consequences of eating when you're doing this shit. I'm not going to do that every day. You know, what am I going to be, a master chiller, a master stoner, like a master bum? You know what I mean? I'm not going to do bum shit with my friends. I would much rather like literally have friends who hold me accountable, who have meetings with me and work on the same goals, so that we can build better habits to, you know, become successful in whatever it is that we want to do.
Source of cravings. In your normal everyday life, you wouldn't say something to yourself like, I want to eat pizza because I need to consume this food to survive. Surface level cravings are merely manifestations of our deeper underlying motives, and these underlying motives guide our behavior. Here are some examples from the book of underlying motives: conserving energy, obtaining food and water, finding love and reproducing, connecting and bonding with others, winning social acceptance and approval, reducing uncertainty, achieving status and prestige. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to smoke cigarettes, check Instagram every 5 minutes, or to play video games. Online platforms and products do not invent new motivations, but rather appeal to the underlying motives of human nature that we already have to gain our attention. Your habits are modern-day solutions to ancient desires, new versions of old vices. The underlying motives behind human behavior remain the same. People who have the underlying motive of connecting with others may jump onto Facebook. Others seeking the underlying motive of finding love and reproducing may sign up for Tinder. If you want to reduce uncertainty, there's Google for that. And seeking social acceptance, there's Instagram. Reprogramming your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits more attractive if you can learn to associate them with a positive experience. By highlighting the benefits of a habit rather than its downsides, you can quickly reprogram your mind and make it seem more appealing. For example, fitness equals health and well-being and not fatigue. Cleaning the house, an environment conducive to peace of mind and not wasted time. Saving money, future financial freedom and not sacrifice. Make it...
Bro, that's deep. It's basically saying, like, on a human level, we all crave the same things, right? And that there's a bunch of shit to get in the way of that. One of the best examples for me is like food. When I go out, like a large reason as to why I don't like to order pizza, I'll eat pizza. If there's pizza there, I'll eat it. I'm eating a few slices. Don't get it twisted. But I rarely order pizza. I don't go to a restaurant to get pizza. Not because I don't like the flavor. I love pizza. But like I've trained my mind to think of food as fuel. I look at it in terms of macros and I look at it in terms of calories. And I don't look at food in terms of like caloric, like you know, and then this isn't always like I will get Wendy's and I'll say, hey, this is a cheat meal. I haven't eaten like non-home cooked food in forever. I'm sick of my cooking, so I'm gonna go get Wendy's and treat myself as a reward. But a lot of the times when I go out, I'll order food based on like the actual energy that it's gonna give me. I look at pizza and I go, this is just bread and cheese. Like I'm not trying to eat just bread and cheese, which is just like greasy fat and like no nutrient dense carbohydrates. Like sure, if you load it with freaking chicken, then or like meat and stuff like that, then I'll have protein and stuff like that. But when I go out to eat, I'm thinking like do I want to get a steak that's gonna be full of protein. Like give me a bunch of protein. You know, give me like you know something I can't cook at home. But you know, you get the point.
Unattractive. To break a bad habit, do the same but highlight the benefits of not doing that habit to make it as unattractive to keep doing as possible.
Oh yeah.
Law 3. Make it easy. How long does it actually take to form a new habit? During habit formation, a behavior becomes increasingly automatic as it is repeated. As you repeat an activity, your brain changes in order to become more efficient at doing it. Long before neuroscientists dug into the process of forming habits, repetition was known as a powerful tool for establishing habits. You activate particular neural circuits associated with habits every time you repeat them. So framing habit formation in terms of time is flawed. It should be framed in terms of number of repetitions. Reducing friction, the law of least effort. The more energy required, the less likely it is to happen. It takes almost no energy to get into the habit of reading one page of a book each day. Habits are more likely to occur when they require less energy. The bigger the obstacle, the more friction there is between you and the desired outcome.
That's what I was saying earlier, man. Less is more. You know, like find that sweet spot, find that flow state, because it's better to just be consistent over the years and not bite off more than you can chew.
If you need to travel 20 minutes out of your way to go to your gym, chances are you will not. But if your gym is located on your commute to work, you will greatly decrease the friction.
There you go, man. This is the way that we should be thinking, right? We should be thinking in these 4 laws. When you try to think like, is it visible or is it not visible? Is it attractive? Is it easy? And is it rewarding? When you think in these ways, try to think of these in every aspect of your life. Is the dishes, is what about like, you know, like the gym, like he's saying, your laundry system, like what systems do you have in place? Here's one that I would say, like, okay, the guys don't take the garbage out at the shop. Let's just say, for example, right? There could be good systems. I can micromanage them. I could remind them to do it. You know, I could have it on a daily basis where I set an alarm and I say, hey, you know, no excuses, everybody go and do it. But, you know, imagine now the garbage was right at their station, right? Imagine everybody had a garbage bin at their station and they were forced to use that garbage. Now it's visible, right? And it's also unattractive, right? But now imagine that garbage bin was an electric scooter, right? So it's an attractive and it's easy. They don't got to pick it up, right? Imagine it launched out of a bazooka. So now you have these like easy, attractive, rewarding like methods of taking out the garbage. And just imagine how much more likely somebody is willing to take the garbage out. I know that's really extreme, but these are kind of ideas that like, this is like kind of that extreme mentality that you could be thinking in terms of hacking your habits.
Making your good habits more convenient, you're more likely to stick to them. Your life will be easier if you find ways to reduce friction rather than trying to solve it. In order to build better habits, we have to find ways to reduce friction associated with our good habits and increase friction associated with our bad habits. Priming the environment for use. By automating or setting up your environment, you can reduce...
Here's an example. I wanted to do this all professionally because I couldn't figure out how to get the sound to come out of the screen recording and then also get the sound on the mic. And then on top of that, I bought an HDMI cable for my DSLR, which is a more professional camera than this. But I was like, I don't know how to do that shit. I'm gonna just make content on my phone. It's easy, it's attractive, it's fucking rewarding, it's all there. Like, why do I gotta go and learn how to use this fucking crazy good thing? In today's world, I don't need to. I really don't need to. It's easy. QuickTime, easy as that. Screen record on my computer. I don't need to download OBS Studio. Like, I could. There's better ways to do this. But at the end of the day, I want to behave a certain way and get that, and then get the outcome. I don't want to. You get what I mean? Like, I don't know where I'm going with that. But that's an example. I made it easy for me to get it done.
It's the friction for future action. For example, I will lay out my workout clothes the night before, so when I get up, I can get moving in the morning.
That's a huge one. I keep my bag in the front of my door every day. It's there. It is there. I get out and I go.
Or to prepare a healthier breakfast, place the pan on the stove, cooking spray on the counter, and gather the ingredients the night before. Again, to reduce any friction. Using the 2-minute rule to stop procrastinating. Using the 2-minute rule can help you establish small habits that will lead to success in bigger ones. Find a simple 2-minute version of your desired habit. You want to scale down your desired outcome. Running a marathon becomes putting on your shoes and stretching for 2 minutes. Reading an hour per day becomes reading 1 page. You need to get the routine anchored in place and then slowly build up the difficulty. After you've mastered the 2-minute habit, you can progress to the next phase. To make something more difficult, think about ways you can create barriers of friction between yourself and the bad habit. Make it as impractical as possible. If you want to watch less TV, unplug the TV after each use and put the remote in an inconvenient location. When you go shopping, leave your credit cards under the seat of the car if you have a bad habit of spontaneous spending. Do anything you can to make your bad habits less likely to occur. Law 4. Make it satisfying. The most important rule of behavior change. A feeling of pleasure is a message to the brain, this feels good, let's repeat this next time. When you experience pleasure, your brain learns that behavior is worth remembering and repeating. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The first 3 laws increase your chances of doing the habit this time. The last law increases your chances of repeating the habit next time. The mismatch between immediate and delayed returns. It is common for us to feel good about our immediate results, but bad about our long-term outcomes when we practice bad habits. It is the opposite with good habits. The immediate result is unpleasant, but the ultimate outcome is satisfying. A certain amount of success in just about every field involves ignoring an immediate reward for the long-term one. It is best to add a little immediate pleasure to the habits that will pay off in the long run, and a little pain to those that don't. The vital thing in getting a habit to stick is to feel successful. Even if it's in a small way, the feeling of success is a signal that your habit paid off and the work was worth the effort. It is satisfying to...
Isn't that crazy? Like, instant gratification, although it like satisfies you right away, is usually met with like regret right after. Like impulse shopping, window shopping, you're just like, fuck man, I just dropped a whole bunch of money. Like masturbation, you give into that temptation and then you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then right after you're done, you're just like disgusted with yourself. Like, what the fuck have I done? And, like video games, you're playing and you're just like, this is the best time of my life. And you're laughing, you're having such a great time. But then you look at the time and it's like 6 o'clock in your morning. You're like, fuck man, like I can't keep doing this. Right? But delayed gratification, you think I enjoy, like I've trained, I'm a sick fuck. I've trained my mind to actually enjoy working out. Like I do want to get that like runner's high because now I enjoy it. But that's something through, habit stacking and creating these good habits that, when you become an executor, when you become a doer, which I have my times and I have my moments, but like before I was like, man, just a complete drifter, somebody that would just never seize the day and just do what I wanted when I wanted and when I felt like doing it, right? But man, when you put in that time and like the gym, it hurts, it's grueling, it's painful, it sucks, right? But like, how good does it feel a month down the road? How good does it feel 3 months down the road? Those are the things that feed your soul. And like, that's what the Greek call your telos, right? Like your spirit. It literally feeds your telos.
To make progress, and you can monitor your progress using visual measures such as moving paper clips, hairpins, or marbles. These little wins can go a long way. For example, for each sales call you make today, move a marble from 1 jar to the complete jar. For each 25 minutes of writing, move a paper clip. Visual measurements can take many forms: diet journals, workout logs, download progress bars, or even page numbers in a book. Keeping a habit tracker may be the best method to monitor your progress.
In my
Using a
to-do
habit
list,
tracker-
right? If we check a look at the to-do list, I love checking off one of these things, you know? It's just cool. And then you look back at it like after all these times and you can see what's completed. You know, like I don't know how long I've had this shit for, but there's been ones on here that this is a newer account, but I have like an older account that has like 100 of these completed items, right?
Is a simple way to determine whether you did a particular habit. Tracking becomes a reward in and of itself. Crossing a task off your to-do list, completing an entry in your exercise log,
This guy beat me to it.
or writing an X on the calendar is satisfying. In spite of your best efforts, it is inevitable that life will interrupt you at some point. A bad day at work,
In a way, I habit stacked earlier, right? Remember when we were doing the Netflix and when he talked about Netflix and working out? I did this while I ate.
bad performance or a bad workout can happen to anyone. When you're having a bad day, you don't realize how valuable it is to just show up. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help
Oh
you.
yeah, oh yeah.
Don't break the chain. Every time you cross a day off your calendar for a given habit, you are creating a chain. Showing up is so important. Missing 2 days or links in a row is the start of a bad habit. Even if you usually do 50 push-ups, just do 10 on that given day if that means not breaking the chain. Breaking a bad habit. Make it unsatisfying. A behavior is less likely to occur when pain is immediate. Being held accountable by a partner is a good way to keep...
I like it's so funny because I swear I have ADD. I don't like to make those kind of statements, but like I'm like caught in my own world, and then like it's only until like 3 seconds after does he mention the thing that I was talking about earlier, and I'm like, oh, there it is, the accountability partners, right?
Keep your desired habits in check. We all want to be liked and respected, so we would rather just avoid the punishment that we will be held accountable to. For example, I owe you $10 every time I miss a workout, plus the respect I lose for failing to do what I said
I ain't trying to be broke.
I would. Your behavior is more likely to be influenced by concrete and immediate consequences.
But that is true though. Like, man, accountability partners, I swear by this. I have like 3 accountability partners. That means I am a partner to somebody else who's accountable. Like right now it's late. I gotta wake up at 8, which means I gotta wake up at 7:30. It's 1 o'clock already. That's fucking 6.5 hours of sleep. But you know what? I don't give a shit because I'm gonna still put in that work and I'm gonna still go to the gym from 1 to 3. I'm gonna drink like 3 coffees tomorrow and I'm gonna get this shit done.
The habit contract. You can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable, just as governments use laws to hold citizens accountable. You can create a habit contract either verbally or in writing, which makes it clear that you will honor a particular habit, and there will be
Which makes it James clear.
punishments if you do not. You can then use your accountability partners to enforce this contract. Okay, so it's one thing to read a book, but another to actually apply it to your life. So I'm going to try and visually represent how I've personally been using this book to build systems around my habits the past few months. After you guys read the book, maybe your approach will be different than mine or much better, or maybe there are some parts that I completely missed or could improve upon. So do let me know in the comments below. The good habits I wanted to develop were more consistent workout and reading routines. The bad habit I wanted to eliminate was becoming distracted and over-consuming social media. First, I completed the habit scorecard. This gave me a good idea of habits I could try to eliminate, but more importantly, it gave me an idea of daily habits I was already doing that I could stack my new habits with. Ultimately, when you find the habits you want to...
Guys, can we just give a shout out to this guy? Fuck, what's his name? Escaping Ordinary, BC Marks. 669,000 subscribers. I'm not even subscribed to the guy. I didn't even like his video. I'm liking and subscribing. You know what? I'm actually gonna unlike it and I'm gonna like it again because that's how much I liked it. I don't know about putting a bell on that shit because I already have too many notifications, but man, the guy who did this video, big round of applause to you because, man, you're doing God's work.
To work on, you want to be pushing the desired good habits towards this side of the spectrum and the bad habits towards this side. For the working out habit,
Ooh,
the first
that's
step
a
was to
good
make
one,
the
man.
cues
I gotta
more
screenshot
obvious,
that.
and I had a few tools that I could use from the book. In this case, I use what James Clear calls the implementation strategy. So I will work out at 6 a.m. in the living room. Next, I tried as best I could to design my environment conducive to this new habit. I took my dumbbell set out of the closet and I put them in the living room.
How cool would it be if somebody approached this guy and took these little like widgets that he has here and created it into an app?
I also found a few pictures of healthy physique
I wonder if he has that already.
on the internet and put them in places around the house as cues that would remind me of the habit. Next, I moved on to the craving phase.
Vision boards.
So to increase dopamine and motivation, I bundle the workout with listening to some of my favorite podcasts, and I also implement reprogramming of the brain. So I tell myself repeatedly, I don't have to do a workout, but I get to build strength and a healthier body. And that subtle shift in mindset has gone a long way. Ideally, joining a gym or finding a group of people to work out with would be even better to strengthen this habit. But unfortunately, all the gyms are closed where I live, so I'm kind of on my own, and these two tools will have to suffice for the moment. Next, making it easy. Using the 2-minute rule to make sure that I don't end up like most people starting a new habit that try to do too much too soon. I want my habit to not feel like a challenge at all. So my 2-minute rule was putting on my workout clothes and stretching. And if that was the only thing that I accomplished, then that was fine because I showed up. But you will quickly find that once you are there, you are now motivated to get the workout done. So
Isn't that crazy how like most of the time the task itself is so like starting the task is so daunting, but once you do it, like dishes for instance, like I find that I'll do my dishes, next thing you know it, my whole entire house is clean from top to bottom. Then there's other days where I'm just like, man, I don't feel like cleaning dishes at all, and I do nothing at all and sloth all day.
So it is weird, but the motivation seems to come after you get the habit started.
Fuck,
My
man.
mindset is focused on small
Speak too soon.
1% changes, compounding into meaningful results, and that my systems will get me the results and not vague goals. Remembering that my main focus at this point is just making sure that I show up and start anchoring this habit in place. And once you are consistently showing up, you can increase the progression. To decrease friction, I made the rule that I'm not allowed to check my phone until the workout was complete. If I get distracted by emails or social media, it is one excuse and one step of friction between myself and the workout getting completed. Lastly, this was a game changer for me, priming the environment. When I place my shoes, yoga mat, and dumbbells out the night before, I skyrocket my show up and workout percentage. As soon as I place these items out the night before, I feel like the ritual has begun and the workout is already complete because I have zero excuses. So with those 3 phases of the loop,
And yo, write these systems down so that it's so easy to figure. Remember, the to-do list. There's a book called To-Do List. And I swear these weren't even introduced until like the 1940s. The whole fucking, like, in the operation rooms where it's like scalpel, sponge. That's that to-do list that they have that like reduced casualties in the hospitals by 40%.
systemized to get me to show up, I only had the last phase of the loop left, which was to make sure I keep repeating the habit. I use both of these tools somewhat together to close out the loop. I use a habit tracker. Crossing the day off the calendar becomes the reward, and it also forces me to not want to break the chain. I also take a picture of my calories that I burnt, and I send that picture to my partner, and that also increases the satisfaction. Mindset-wise, I begin with identity, and I remind myself after each workout that I want to become the kind of person that enjoys fitness and doesn't miss workouts. I don't put all my focus on outcomes, such as I want to be 10 kilograms lighter by such and such a date.
Guys, that is huge. Man, it's so crazy because when I go out, let's say I go out and I want to, like, you know, I'm single, I want to do my thing. When I tell myself, man, I don't care about, like, whatever happens tonight happens, and I have a good time, as a result of letting go of being outcome dependent, I therefore act like someone who is the life of a party. I have those behaviors. And as a result, I end up fucking doing well with fucking girls. Do you get what I mean? And the same thing with fights. You know, when I have my boxing tournaments, I let go of this idea of fucking taking home gold, right? Instead, I just behave and, like, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens come February, because February I have a fight. I don't care if I lose or if I win. I really don't care. It'd be cool to win, you know, and like I do remind myself that I want to win, but I'm not attached to it. Right now, all I know is if I put in the fucking work, we're gonna see what happens.
And I also remind myself that I need to be patient for the results, and that I'm probably still somewhere in this valley of disappointment before I will see those results. I went through the same process with the reading habit with a few minor changes. So I used the habit stack. After making a coffee, I will read for 90 minutes. So making a coffee was my trigger cue for reading. My one space, one use rule was reading on the balcony of the apartment. One of the best parts of my day is a nice cup of coffee in the morning, so this was the perfect thing for me to bundle my reading habit with.
How cool would it be that, like, when you're doing these habit stacks, for instance, like brushing your teeth, you had little icons like this, or like little pictures around your house that you put up on the wall in order to remind yourself, like how much, like he's saying, he puts pictures up or has a vision board of, like, you know, people who are in good shape to kind of remind him of all these, you know, the good habits in his and the behaviors that he has to have, right? So it'd be pretty cool. And I used to do this. I used to have my lists that I have, the systems that I have on the to-do list, and I used to have it on my wall. So I'd wake up and I'd be visible instead of one extra step. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that one extra step of going in my phone makes it that much less likely for it to happen.
Remembering how dopamine raises in anticipation of a reward and not the reward itself, I wanted this dopamine spike for wanting coffee to start becoming associated with reading. My 2-minute rule was to read one page of The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. Super simple. Again, in the beginning, all I was concerned with was showing up and getting this habit anchored. Then I slowly built up the habit to 90 minutes. For the bad habit I was trying to eliminate, to make the habit invisible, I started by making my phone as boring as I possibly could, which required deleting a lot of apps. I used the reprogramming tool to
I'm gonna take that.
highlight the unattractive side of over-consuming social media, telling myself things like, consuming is the easy and lazy option of the masses, and do I want to be a consumer or a producer?
I want to be a producer. That's why I'm doing this shit.
Random scrolling through feeds is for losers.
Honestly, not to sound like a narcissist, half the time I spend on Instagram is watching my own shit. I put fucking hours and hours into editing my stuff. I'll watch, I swear to God, like all 9,000 views on some of my videos is just me.
So you want to try and paint your bad habit in a light that makes it super unattractive to keep doing. To increase friction, I left my phone in a drawer in another room, so completely out of sight. And to make it unsatisfying, I have an accountability partner.
Honestly, leaving your phone in a certain area, imagine now you had a dedicated phone spot. You know, like imagine you had like a little slot or a little cubby, right? They even have like these safes that you have. I know it sounds kind of like crazy, but there's safes that you can put that have timers that you can't unlock until the timer's done. You even have it on your phone. I set a timer on my Instagram and I give it my 15-minute timer. Now, to be honest, I break that timer all the time. You know, a lot of the times I'll hit like, remind me 15 minutes again, remind me 15 minutes again. And, but at least, you know, by the third time, you know, 45 minutes in, maybe 30 minutes in, like I after that many times of being reminded, I'm just like, yo, I gotta get off this shit. And it's better than like having no reminder and spending legit like 8 hours in a day on your phone.
Get my partner to enforce this habit. The punishment is if she sees me using social media during work time, I owe her $10. So that is how I've been using this fantastic book, guys, to get great results so far. Go out and grab a copy of this book for yourself if you haven't already. You're going to take in the knowledge at a much deeper level from all the stories and examples that James Clear gives you in the book, as well as some advanced techniques which we didn't cover in the summary that will help you strengthen your habits. Good luck in your journey. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.
He's probably got another bunch of crazy books, but I mean, who needs to buy the book when you have a crazy summary like that? That's intense, right? I mean, who needs to watch this video when you can watch mine, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, that sums up for this. I wanted to do 3 of these. I got a bunch of videos. I got playlists for days that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. And for the much smaller videos, I'm going to be doing compilations of these videos together. But, you know, I'm going to edit this for you guys, put it together, make it nice, make it short, try to make it in multiple reels. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's get this fucking money. Let's fucking get this money, if you know what I mean. I got to get to bed. So, we're out of here.